Jesus when hunting up in North Texas. Was set up watching this field when I happened to look over and see that hogs had appeared off to the right of me. Apparently they'd come in from behind the barn and I hadn't noticed them approaching. So here I'm making my stalk towards them, and I'm using my IR patrol in order to watch them as I make my approach, and I'm getting everything recorded with my IR Hunter Mark III thermal weapon sight. There you can see a hog in the next pasture over behind the fence, and I've got this small sounder on this side. Winds are in my favor at this point, but everything is calm and quiet, and so making noise is a problem, as are some of the lights from the local structures. So I'm not going to get too close here as I get set up to take my shot. A quick scan verifies there are no other livestock in the immediate area. Alright, here we go. I start the pan too quickly and realize that my first hog has not gone down. And by this time all the other piglets have taken off. So it's just a matter of finishing off the sow, and that will do it for her. This was a 185-pound sow.
Brass catcher by Tactical Brass Recovery.
The first shot entered low on the right shoulder, passing behind the humerus, entering the thoracic cavity after breaking a couple ribs and making this huge entry wound that you see right here. It did a lot of circulatory system damage before breaking another rib on the way out, and then breaking the humerus as well. By itself, this shot would have been quickly fatal, just not immediately fatal. The bullet entered right at 2,277 feet per second, did all the damage that it did, and managed to penetrate over 10 inches before exiting. Shot number 2 was slightly quartered away, entering low on the abdomen, crossing diagonally to the other side where it embedded itself slightly forward and underneath the skin. Here I peel back the skin, you can see the bullet embedded in the skin where the arrow is. And notice there's very little blood around this wound. This bullet also impacted at about 2,277 feet per second, expanded nicely, passing through the body, penetrating 8 to 9 inches before embedding underneath the skin. And look at the weight retention, right at 96% or 115 out of 120 grains. I'm uncertain of exactly where shot number 3 impacted the hog. I assume it's somewhere in the right hand shoulder, but by this time the hog was not bleeding much. I think it may be in this area, but I did not find a hole for it. It crossed over to the opposite side and embedded itself under the skin here. Peeling that back, notice there's not a lot of blood from this wound either, so the hog had already bled out by this point. This bullet broke one rib exiting the thoracic cavity before going through the edge of the scapula and embedding itself in the skin after what I guess is about 9 to 10 inches of penetration across the thoracic cavity. And notice this bullet also had very good weight retention at about 94% or 112.7 grains of the original 120. And lastly, shot number 4 was pretty bizarre as well. It was a good shot. It actually entered going through the pinna of the ear before penetrating the neck just below it with a huge entry wound. The custom reloads of Dallas Speer Gold Dot bullet just bored a huge tunnel right through the back of the neck, but the shot actually missed the back of the skull and passed above the cervical spine before exiting out the other side that you see here, with that huge wound channel continuing right through the muscle. As with the previous 2 shots, this wound did not bleed very much, and I attribute this to the damage done by the first shot to the circulatory system. All in all, the bullet performed very well on this shot, but it didn't have much tissue to work with, penetrating about 5 to 6 inches before exiting and doing a lot of damage in the process. And lastly, the sow was pregnant, and I recovered 1 fetus, but I did not spend much time with the abdominal cavity after the bullet passed through it, disrupting a lot of its contents. Carpe sus, my friends.